Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let us talk about Vince McMahon once again. This time, the Bella twins, aka the Garcia twins, make a comment on social media about the allegations. And then they are destroyed online because their father-in-law was involved. So here is the statement. It was posted on January the 29th, 2024, at 5:22 p.m. We are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE. It has been a lot to process since we found out this past week, just as all you did. This is something we don't stand for or condone from anyone, no matter who they are. We want all women to feel safe and supported in the workplace and in their everyday lives. Now, as we all wrestling fans know, that the Bella twins, their mother, Kathy, is married to John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis' name has come up in the lawsuit, of course, as Janelle Grant claims that Vince McMahon directed her to have sex with John Laurinaitis even during the day prior to start of work days. She also said that John Laurinaitis violently assaulted her and, of course, penetrated her during and what's the word I will look for? Non-consensual activities during this time. Now, while John Laurinaitis was allegedly involved with Janelle Grant, he was, of course, still married to the mother of the Bella twins, and their mom had brain cancer. So John Laurinaitis was messing around, allegedly, with Janelle Grant while his wife had brain cancer. Now, I understand that as a man, people get stressed out. You know, these things are really tough to deal with. You know, dealing with a spouse who has cancer can be very, very tough. And sometimes people do cheat when they're in these very tough times and they're under a lot of stress. People break. They buckle. They can't handle it. But this is something that is horrible for their mother to read online, that her husband supposedly raped a woman in an office building and he was having regular affairs and hookups with this lady. And this has been just floating around the internet as if these people don't have families and all this sort of stuff. So a lot of people have been attacking them for the wording. Well, some of them just don't like them, but a lot of the people thought that the wording was kind of weird because it says, we are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE. Well, your stepfather was a member of WWE at the time, sure. So I guess technically that's true. But we're talking about a man you see every day, you know? So for the same reason that Triple H should have had probably a better response, the Bella twins certainly should have had a better response. I get not wanting to go at the heart of the issue. Again, it's not like John Laurinaitis was bringing Janelle Grant to the hospital, wasn't bringing her over for dinner. I'm pretty sure they didn't know anything about it. It's likely they found out when everybody else found out, even though there was whispers that John Laurinaitis was having an affair. A lot of this was floating around while Kathy was down. So Kathy Laurinaitis had a lot of health issues, you know, during this time. There's interviews where Kathy Laurinaitis says that she basically had to have eye surgery, brain surgery, and a bunch of other things during this same time. In an October 2021 article, it says her husband has been her rock during the medical journey. Laurinaitis says John took 30 days off from WWE and never left my side. His support helped her get a jump start on the healing process and getting back to work. Kathy did an interview with the Brain Injury Alliance, and in telling this interview, I'm not going to go through it and read it all, but if you were to look it up, you will see that John Laurinaitis is absolutely involved with his wife's treatment. He's going to pick her up. He's taking her home. He's doing everything he needs to do. And he was still working in WWE at the time. So he's going. I think they said. Well, she said he took 30 days off. So maybe this was during his time off. And he's very active with his wife's illness. She isn't left alone. You know, she had surgery on June 30th, 2020, and John became her caregiver. In the Brain Injury Alliance interview, she says, well, it says, remarkably, Kathy was released 2 days later after the surgery and was able to return home, where John lovingly became her full-time caregiver. As the general manager of talent for WWE, John, whom Kathy calls the Rock of the family, is known as a confident businessman, but as her caregiver, she was able to see a different type of confidence in him. She describes him as nurturing, encouraging, and intuitive. Quote, "It was amazing. You'd think he was a nurse," Kathy says. "He was the bathroom set up. He got a walker. He logged my medication. I never missed a meal. He never complained. He didn't leave my side for 30 days. He is an instrument of why I am at the level I am in my recovery." Amazing. So John Laurinaitis. Now I said all of this stuff because I want people to understand why they're not in a rush to throw John Laurinaitis under the bus. Okay? John Laurinaitis is not their father. He is their stepfather. And during a time where they needed him most, he was right there. Yes, he might have been messing around. Maybe he was. You know, he had to blow off some steam, maybe. You know, assuming all of that is true. But people are like, why aren't you discussing whether you knew about John Laurinaitis, or why aren't you yelling about John Laurinaitis? You have to understand that this is a situation, in terms of a legal situation, this is in its embryonic stage. This is just an allegation. Nobody has really even gone and started doing any official picks of this lawsuit yet. Most people are just shocked at it, and they're reading the text messages. They're like, oh my God. They're so busy judging that they don't really understand why people are reluctant to throw their own family members under the bus. It's like, what in the world? I know that, you know, strangers on the internet don't have a problem destroying other people's families. But this is a family that's been through something. The McMahons are in the exact same boat. Triple H had his heart issue right in the middle of this Janelle Grant situation. I don't think it was in 2019. I think he had his heart issue in 2020 or 2021. So she was still present, Janelle Grant was. But Triple H had other issues. He had other things he was dealing with at the time. And again, this woman was not anybody's girlfriend where they was bringing her to the functions. She was, you know, apparently an office plaything that these two guys had. And they were messing around with her. They don't know anything. And then this is a legal matter. Why would they be discussing a legal matter with strangers online? A familial legal matter, too. Because this affects their relationship to their family, and it affects their relationship to the media. What people want is for you to virtue signal and be an activist and be a girl's girl or whatever the hell they want these people to be. But the Bella Twins realize, hey, we have done John's been there for us. He's looked out for us. If he was involved with this stuff, I'm pretty sure if it can be proven, they'll throw him under the bus. He's only their stepfather anyway. It'll piss their mom off, but whatever. And maybe the mom will get mad and leave him. And then we can all have fun barbecuing John Laurinaitis on, you know, whatever. But while the family is still together and still dealing with this and trying to deal with it themselves internally, what do you expect them to say externally? That's my question. You know, because now people are saying, like, are you going to ask Bryan Danielson about it? Because that's his father-in-law. Are you going to say that he needs to? Did he know? It's like he probably didn't know. It's entirely possible for you to do and engage in disruptive things to your family unit without other people knowing. It's entirely possible. I promise you that it's entirely possible. And it's entirely possible to deal with things in-house. People do that all the time. Now, I know, and the issue with the comes to the Bella twins is they've been very public about pretty much everything, because they pretty much have lived on television for almost 10 years doing various reality TV shows, etc. They have opened the book of their own lives, and this is the problem. Now there's a scandal. Their father-in-law is being accused of being a rapist and a sex trafficker, and they're trying to kind of really nudge it towards WWE and not really have their family involved in it. And it's okay for them to condemn WWE, and they can do that. But this does involve directly their family, you know, because it affects their mom, who had brain surgery around this same time that this relationship might have been going on. People slip through the cracks. People get stressed out and different things occur. Maybe he had already admitted to having an affair. We don't know. We don't know what's going on in that household. And just because they're not responding the way John Doe, bunch of numbers on Twitter, thinks they should react, is not meaning that they're not doing something. They put out a statement, a joint statement. I'm sure that's pretty much, they figured that's the best they could do, given how entrenched they are into WWE, for starters. You're marrying into the company essentially with John Laurinaitis, but also, you know, him still living with them, him still being there. He was fired from WWE because of this whole ordeal. So who knows, maybe he had already done his mea culpa in terms of admitting what happened, talking about what happened, and they don't want to stress this any further or go any further with this. You also have to take into account that Nikki Bella herself has said she's been raped twice. She said she got raped twice as a teenager. So you have to understand that a lot of this stuff that is behind the comment, it's not just that they made a comment and it may not have been the best comment. It might not have been the comment that you want to hear. But when you take into account that they're talking about their father-in-law, one of these women is a victim of sexual assault, and the mother had brain cancer. John Laurinaitis has children. You know, they have stepsisters that have the same last name as their mom. This is a family issue. It's not as simple as you get to go online and virtue signal and talk about how he's the devil. It's not. That's not the case. You can't do that. You know, you have to deal with it with a little bit more nuance when it's your family. Okay. So I guess they had to make a statement. I guess the statement was fair for what it was. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was the worst statement. They attempted to be feminists, which is always going to be the case. They always want to be girly girls because that's their brand. You know, being anti-WWE is part of their brand too. But since the company's been criticized for something legitimate, which is, you know, turning a blind eye to a girl being treated like a hot potato in the office, then yeah, you know, I'm okay with the statement. I understand why they didn't mention John Laurinaitis. Again, he's a member of their family. What do you want them to do? Throw their stepfather under the bus? They probably didn't even know what was going on. They live in their own lives, for Christ's sake. And that's the one thing that I really kind of is blowing my wig back, is all these people expect you to stop your life to engage with this subject. It's like, oh, Triple H is the worst thing in the world that he didn't read the lawsuit. It's like, he's busy. There's nothing he can do about the lawsuit. There's nothing he could do about something that supposedly happened 5 years ago. He's going to get asked questions about it, and he should be prepared. But why would he dictate a ton of time to sitting down and reading this thing? He's got work to do. I know it doesn't seem like it's important to you, but there's billions of dollars at stake in making sure this show that he's running makes a lot of money and moves forward. They've already cut bait with Vince. There's not much they can do about it. Just like the same thing with John Laurinaitis and the Bella twins. He doesn't work there anymore. So what could they do? Do you want them to TikTok them chastising him? Bad stepdad. You should not have raped that woman. And that there's nothing they can do. You know, there's nothing they can do. They have to deal with it internally first. Once it's done internally, then maybe they can have more conversation about it externally. Once you come to grips with certain things, it becomes easier to talk about. But first, you have to deal with it internally first. And this is that kind of situation. You have to deal with it personally. The infidelity is part of it. Another part of it is John Laurinaitis ended up losing his job. So he lost, I would imagine, a 6 or 7 figure income, you know, and was part of his lifestyle. And he's pretty much unemployable because his name has now been attached to sex trafficking, so he can't work. Then you have to deal with the actual allegations themselves. Are they true or are they false? Or are you going to defend yourself, or the legalities of it? That's another thing. You know, are you worried about the police knocking on the doors? How are you going to handle this? Are you going to coordinate with Vince and in a defense and all these sorts of things? All this stuff has to come, and people have not had a lot of time. It's been less than a week. All right. Now, I give them a lot of credit for putting out a statement in the first place. I probably wouldn't have said anything, if we're being honest. There's no comment. There's no words that you can really say that's going to be satisfactory. And it's the same situation Triple H was in. There's nothing you can say that's going to be satisfactory. So outside of no comment, there's not much you can do. All right. Talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They just